Michigan. I'm going to get to all of you guys, but Cindy in Pennsylvania wants to talk about Bilderberg and gun control. Go ahead, Cindy.
Yeah, hi, Rob. Can I make 2 quick points?
Sure, go ahead.
Have you ever noticed when Bilderberg meets, there's always a big shoe that drops? And the big shoe that dropped was Orlando, Florida. I would think that they were talking gun control as being their next move and making it a big move, which they did. And they probably have sleeper cells everywhere just waiting for them to make a call. And I also wanted to mention this Milo Yiannopoulos. He was taken off Twitter. He had, 30 million followers? I never heard of him before, but yesterday he was on Drudge. They gave the link to him, and I watched him talk in Orlando. He's very articulate, smart. He's with the LGBT community, 30 million followers. They listen to him. He's pro-Second Amendment. He knows gay bars are soft kill zones, and I think it'd be a good idea to maybe interview him sometime and bring in these 30 million people. I mean, they buy products too. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think he's followed exclusively by LGBT people. He's also followed by people who have a distaste in their mouth for the social justice warriors out there, and I think that's probably his biggest audience. Because he actually comes out against a lot of what the LGBT says in terms of exclusivity and trying to shut people down in their freedom of speech. He's very pro-freedom of speech. And we haven't had him on the show before, but we did have Joe Biggs going to California to follow a few of his speeches. And one actually got shut down due to a bomb threat that happened. And so people don't like this guy speaking out. They're very anti-freedom of speech when it comes to not following their views. But, yeah, I'm sure we'd love to have him on the show. And I think we've reached out to him. Alex regularly speaks to one of the main editors of Breitbart, and that's who he works for. He's a tech editor at Breitbart. But as for Bilderberg and false flags, that's what I thought. We were at the airport that morning chasing the Bilderbergers around, asking them questions. And it was Josh Owens saw the headline. He goes, oh my God, 20 people were just shot in Orlando. And I said, wow, this is going to take all take the eye of what people are looking at, especially the eye of Drudge, as I say, from Bilderberg, which he was covering every day, and then shift it over to this shooting and kind of take people off their real controllers, but into an event where you could have CNN and other mainstream media outlets come out and say, oh, we got to call for guns. We got to call for the banning of guns. And this, of course, gives President Obama the chance to get up on screen and do his fake tears and say he's sick and tired of this. But he won't say the words radical Islam, even though the last 2 big shootings were radical Islam. So I would agree to you on both points, Cindy. Thanks for calling in. Let's go now to who's been waiting the longest. Looks like everybody's pretty much the same. Curtis in Michigan wants to talk about gun control. Curtis, are you a gun owner yourself?
I'm not a gun owner yet. I am looking into getting a gun. But my main points are, I'll keep it short. Gun control never works. Just like the drug war, the black market, that's always going to exist. And if you want to shoot up a nightclub or a mall or whatever, they're going to find a gun. And getting it legally is irrelevant when you're...
I would agree. Hey, hang on tight. I'm going to hold you over the break. We'll come back with you and let you finish your point. Rob Dew at the 4th hour, Infowars.com/show for the free streams. All right, so sitting over to my left, David Knight. I wasn't sure if I was live at that point. Usually they pop in and say, you're live. But the liner had finished, so I just automatically went into it. But
it's live. We're live.
It's right. I got David Knight over to my left. We're going to talk about kind of what you and Leanne talked about a little bit last night. What would Jesus do at the gay bar shooting? A lesson in religious extremism. And but I'm going to let Curtis, before that, finish up with his gun control remarks. He already said, look at the drug war. It doesn't work. We still have drugs. You can still buy drugs. I could go to 20 different places in Austin right now and get whatever I want. And the government outlaws it, and it doesn't matter. So when they outlaw guns, the same thing will happen. And is that how you want it? Right now, it is sort of controlled. I almost wouldn't mind a black market because then the government wouldn't know if I have a gun. But But, you know, right now they do a background check and the government knows, hey, this person did a background check. We got to put them on a list.
My son said the only good thing about gun control, gun prohibition is going to be you're going to see all kinds of really interesting guns created.
Oh, yeah.
You never even dreamed of, just like you saw all kinds of interesting, new, and very, very dangerous drugs created from drug prohibition. They talk about, hey, it's too easy to get it. And it's like, yeah, it's kind of like buying drugs at a school playground. You can do that after 45 years of drug prohibition. And, of course, nothing's going to change with guns.
There you go. Now, hey, Curtis, I'm going to let you finish up. Go ahead.
Yep. I mean, David Knight's completely right. You know, the prohibition of LSD and stuff like that, I'm not advocating for that. But, you know, there's much more dangerous designer drugs that are much like it now, and they're very dangerous, you know. But with my point, you know, they take away freedom little by little to get people compliant and docile. And for people who say that the only way to stop these shootings is for gun control, I would respectfully disagree. I believe to stop these shootings, everybody just needs to be armed. If you want to protect yourself, you need to take the measures to protect yourself. And that's all I got. You guys do a wonderful job. I'm taking my super mail. Everybody buy the products. They're good stuff. Thanks for taking my call.
All right. Thank you, Curtis. And I would advocate for you to go out and learn how to fire safely and get yourself a gun, because you have to do that in this day and age. It's been proven there's too many crazy people out there that don't like the fact that other people they have different opinions.
You know, Rob, to me, I look at this and I find the watch lists far more dangerous than the guns, okay? Watch lists are something that we've never had in America. Guns are something we always have had in America. And
we've done pretty good by having guns in America.
That's right, but we're not doing too good with these secret watch lists.
Right.
It perverts the entire Bill of Rights, and it really causes me concern to see the NRA as well as Donald Trump start to talk about this, because that is the narrative of Obama and the gun controllers from the left for this.
Well, hopefully when he meets with them, they go, sir, that's not a good move, because we don't even know how you get on these watch lists or how you get off of them. There's no due process. It's a government lackey saying, we don't like you. Remember, we had a guy on the show who flew out of the country and then couldn't fly back in because he had gotten mistakenly put on one of these lists.
First story I covered.
Yeah.
He was somebody like this Orlando shooter. He had been vetted many, many different ways. He never had done anything, and there was no reason for him to be on it. But here's the thing, Rob. When we talked to him, he said, I never knew I was on it till they pulled me off the plane in Hawaii and said, you can't fly. And it's like, now I'm stuck in Hawaii. I can't fly anywhere. Okay, but he didn't know that he was on the list. He didn't know why he was on the list. He didn't know how he could get off the list. Where do I go to clear my name?
Yeah.
You don't.
Sounds like 1984.
Exactly.
Sounds like 1984. We've shown clips of little kids being on the watch list. I put one of those clips in Police State 4, The Rise of FEMA. There was a little kid. It was during the underwear bomber segment. A little kid who ended up on the no-fly list.
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't work. It's done by the government. It's not going to work right. That's one thing you can rest assured.
The watch lists are far more dangerous. We need watch list control.
Yeah, exactly.
We need watch list extermination.
We need government control. We need less government. Government is the problem, and it always will be. Okay, government's not out there fixing your roads or making your electricity bills cheaper. They're making everything more expensive. They're making everything more bureaucratic. They're making everything slower. When I was in Europe, so many times, just, do you have this paper? Do you have this paper? Do you have this paper? It was ridiculous. I was trying to pay. We went and shot this amazing interview at this church in the Czech Republic, and just to pay them the money to do this took 45 minutes of talking back and forth. I was amazed. I'm like, geez, do you guys want the money or not? I'm ready to go. I don't want to sit here and have this conversation. Well, what are you paying it for? I'm paying it to go shoot the video. And then they went back and forth because the director didn't speak English, but it's just bureaucracy in action, and you're seeing it there, and it's just amazing. But, David, let's get into what would Jesus do at the gay bar shooting, which just happened in Orlando. So you had this interesting concept. And it's basically the Muslims seem to be for it. They seem to be going, kill gays, kill gays. And now we have this extreme religious right who's also seemed to be celebrating these killings, which I've
never seen that before. And that's something that really concerned me. And, you know, I put this title up. You know, a lot of Christians see the WWJD brand of stuff at the Christian bookstores, okay, especially Baptist bookstores. You get little bracelets that say, what would Jesus do? You know, and think about what you're doing. Would Jesus be doing this? That type of thing. And so I said, you know, well, what would Jesus do at a gay bar shooting? Okay, would he join in and hey, give me a gun, I want to shoot some gays? Or would he have sacrificed himself for them? Okay, and amazingly, I saw some comments from people saying, Jesus wouldn't even be at a gay bar. It's like, no, one of the things that he was attacked for during his life was the fact that he hung out with sinners. He hung out with tax collectors and prostitutes and people. Why? Because you know what? He was making the point. He came to this earth to save sinners. And that's what Christianity is about. It's not about telling us that we need to kill people because they're sinners. It's about telling people that Jesus died because you're a sinner. It's about offering a message of hope, a message of freedom, not a message of legalism. And so, yeah, I've heard some legalistic pastors before, and I've been to some legalistic churches before, but I've not seen this type of thing. And so last night we were talking about it. Leanne was talking about it from the Islamic side. She gave me this article today. A gay Muslim says, hey, you know what? Islam is not a religion of peace. He says calling Islam a religion of peace is dangerous. It's reductive. Like the other two monotheisms that precede it, it has blood on its hands. Oh, let me say this, okay? This is not just a function of monotheisms. It's a function of all religions, okay? Polytheists were sacrificing children, doing blood sacrifices of children. We've had atheists who have gone out of their way to murder people, especially believers, but also other atheists. Whether you believe in God or whether you're not, there's every kind of culture, every kind of religion has got blood on its hands.
It's a function of taking an ideology and twisting it and then saying, hey, it's okay to kill people now.
That's right.
That's what it is. It's people doing this. Once again, it's people doing it, not the guns, not the religion.
Exactly.
They may be doing it in the name of religion, but that's not necessarily what the religion called for.
And so the real issue before us is not what has happened historically, but what is happening now? And what is the basis of Islam? What is the basis of Christianity? Well, I'm not going to try to talk about Islam. There's plenty of people who are Muslims who will tell you that it is not a religion of peace, that what we saw here was not a misinterpretation of their theology, but an expression of it. Okay, but what I'm concerned about, what I want to talk about is the reaction of some of these pastors. Now, we've got a couple of pastors. Roger Jimenez of Verity Baptist Church said the killer succeeded in making Orlando safer. He said, are you sad 50 pedophiles are killed today? No, I think it's great, he said. I think that helps society. I think Orlando, Florida is a little safer tonight. And then we got Tempe, Arizona preacher Steven Anderson, who said, well, there's at least 50 less pedophiles in the world. He said LGBT people should be executed properly, however, by a righteous government.
And Jimenez also said, I just wish the government would round them all up, put them up against a wall, put a firing squad in front of them and blow their brains out.
That's right. And so what we have to be concerned about, and that's the reason we have the First Amendment, we want a separation of religion from the state, okay? And I know that that's not in the Constitution. I know that wall of separation was something that Thomas Jefferson sent out as reassurances to people who had been told by John Adams that he was going to come around and steal their Bibles, so they're burying them in the backyard. He said, no, there's a wall that protects you from the government. That's the First Amendment. But we don't want a theocracy either. And what people have to understand is that Islam does want a theocracy. It is endemic to its religion. And now I'm starting to see some of these same aspects in some of these Christians who are preaching, hey, we want the government to go out and round up gays and kill them. And we saw this back in the fall as they were coming to the Iowa caucus. Remember, and this is something I didn't even see for a couple of months. We had this meeting in Des Moines, Iowa. It was a National Religious Liberties Conference. It featured a lot of presidential candidates. They had Mike Huckabee, Bobby Jindal, and Ted Cruz. And, of course, after they dropped out, Ted Cruz was there, people played this clip. And I want to play this clip right now, what this guy said.
13 calls for the death penalty for homosexuals. Yes, Romans chapter 1, verse 32, the Apostle Paul does say that homosexuals are worthy of death. His words, not mine. And I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
And let me say, that is not the gospel of Jesus Christ. The gospel is good news. What he is doing is he's taking us out of context, completely out of context. And when you take something out of context, Rob, you use it as a pretext for your prejudices. And that's what this man is doing. That is not Christianity. That is not the gospel. Mike Huckabee said he didn't know anything about that guy. Ted Cruz.
And didn't he introduce Ted Cruz right after that?
That's right. He introduced Ted Cruz. And let me tell you, he's quoting the Bible, okay? And he's taking it out of context because what he says is, look, just before that, where he says, God says that all these people deserve death, okay? What Paul is doing is he's laying this out. A lot of people understand this. They call it the Romans road. Paul says, look, we're all sinners. We all deserve death. And he goes out and he lays out this catalog of every possible thing you could do. And it's not just homosexuality. And yet these legalists will go in and they'll pull out homosexuality. They'll look at it and say, well, gee, I do that. I'm a liar. I do this.
I'm an adulterer.
But, yeah,
I steal money.
I don't do homosexuality. Let's go after the homosexuals because it makes me feel like I'm justifying myself before God to attack this other group. And so he says, yeah, God knows that all these people who do this deserve death. But what did he say right before it? He said they've become filled with every kind of wickedness, with envy. Are we supposed to kill people who envy? With murder, with strife, with deceit, with malice. They gossip, they slander, they hate God, they're insolent, arrogant, boastful. They disobey their parents. So are we supposed to kill everybody on that list?
My mom wants me to vote for Hillary.